You're sitting in a hospital waiting room at 2 in the morning, the vending machine humming the only sound besides your own breathing, a coffee gone cold in your hand that you bought 40 minutes ago and haven't taken a second sip of since. Your father's in surgery down the hall, the kind of surgery where the surgeon uses the word routine in a tone that doesn't quite match the word. You could, if you wanted, buy this hospital. Not metaphorically. You've looked at the numbers once, out of a strange, dark curiosity, and the entire facility's annual operating budget is smaller than what sits in your brokerage account doing nothing at all. You could fly in the best cardiac surgeon in the country by morning if this one turns out to be wrong for the job. You could build an entire wing named after your father by next spring if you decided, tonight, that's what you wanted to do with a Tuesday. None of that changes what's happening behind the doors 40 feet from where you're sitting. None of it moves the clock forward. None of it lets you trade places with him, which is the only thing you actually want to do at 2 in the morning in a waiting room, and it is, of every single thing money has ever done for you, the first time in years you've felt its complete and total silence on a question that matters. $50 million, and the vending machine hums, and you wait, exactly the way anyone waits, rich or not, for news that money was never going to be able to deliver early. This is the part nobody believes until they're the ones sitting in the chair. Money doesn't buy you out of the waiting room. It just buys you a better view of the same clock everyone else is watching. That night taught you the first real item on a list you'd spend the next decade quietly building, a list of things the number simply doesn't touch, no matter how large it gets. Item 1, your father's time. He makes it through that surgery. He's fine, eventually, slower but fine, and you get, after that night, a specific gift you didn't expect, the sudden, sharp knowledge of exactly how finite his remaining years actually are, a number no accountant can adjust and no market can grow. You try, in the weeks after, to buy your way around this fact the way you've bought your way around almost everything else. You hire him a private physician who monitors things more closely than his old one ever did. You fund research into a condition that runs in his side of the family, quietly, through a foundation with your name nowhere on the paperwork. You do everything the money can actually do, and it helps, genuinely, at the margins, better care, faster answers, fewer worry nights. But the specific number of Tuesday afternoons you get to sit across from him at his kitchen table doesn't change no matter how large the check gets. You could pay any surgeon in the world to add years no one has found a way to add yet. The $40 million extra past the first 10 sitting in your accounts is entirely useless against the one clock that actually matters to you, and you understand, sitting across from him one ordinary Tuesday not long after, that you'd trade every dollar of it for 10 more years you already know, with total certainty, aren't for sale at any price. The money buys better doctors. It has never once bought more time. Those turn out to be two completely different products, and only one of them is actually on the market. Item 2, being told the truth by default. You notice this one slower, because it doesn't announce itself the way a hospital waiting room does. It creeps in over years, a specific texture missing from most of your conversations that you don't identify until it's already been gone a long time. At a dinner with your investment team, you propose an idea you're genuinely unsure about, a real estate position you've been considering, and you watch four smart, credentialed people nod along with more enthusiasm than the idea actually deserves, agreeing with a version of confidence that has more to do with whose idea it is than how good the idea actually is. You call an old friend from before any of this, someone who's never had reason to manage your reactions, and you run the same idea past him, and he tells you, flatly, within 30 seconds, that it sounds like a bad bet, and he doesn't understand why you're even considering it. That's the whole item, right there, contained in those two conversations. Somewhere around your first 10 million, most of the people in your daily orbit started doing a specific kind of math before responding to you, not lying exactly, just softening, agreeing slightly more than they would otherwise, because disagreeing with you now carries a cost that disagreeing with you at zero never did. Money buys you an audience. It does not buy you an honest one. Those used to be the same thing, back when nobody had a reason to manage what they told you, and you didn't notice how rare that honesty was until it started quietly disappearing. You keep the old friend close, deliberately, precisely because he's one of maybe 4 people left in your life who still tells you when an idea is bad without first checking how you'll feel about hearing it. Item 3, the specific relief of being chosen for nothing. This one you don't notice missing until you watch someone else have it. At a wedding, of all places, your assistant's actual wedding, which you attend because you like her and because the invitation was genuine and not, as far as you can tell, strategic in any way. You watch the groom's best man give a toast, a rambling, imperfect, clearly unrehearsed thing about how the two of them met in a dead-end job at 19, broke, splitting a single value meal between them some weeks, and how none of that mattered because the friendship was never about anything either of them had, it was just about who showed up. The whole room laughs and tears up at the same time, the specific alchemy of a real toast about a real, unearned kind of loyalty. You sit there and realize, with a small, private ache you don't share with anyone at your table, that you can't fully remember the last time you were certain someone chose you for absolutely nothing you had, rather than nothing you had yet. Even your oldest friendships, the ones from before any of this, carry a faint asterisk now, an awareness on both sides that things are different, that the friendship survived something most friendships don't have to survive, which is its own kind of proof but also, quietly, its own kind of loss. You'll never again get to have a friendship start completely clean, the way that best man's did. With nothing on the table but two guys and a shared value meal. Money can buy you loyalty that looks exactly like the real thing. It has never once been able to buy you the specific, unrepeatable certainty of being chosen before there was anything to choose you for. Item 4. A room that doesn't change when you enter it. You test this one, almost cruelly, almost without meaning to, at your niece's college graduation, where you show up in old jeans and a jacket you've had for a decade, and the room, full of people who don't know what you're worth, simply treats you like an uncle. Nobody adjusts. Nobody performs. The energy in the room stays exactly the same before and after you sit down. Then, 3 weeks later, at a charity gala you agreed to attend because the cause is one you actually care about, you watch the entire temperature of a ballroom shift the moment your name gets mentioned at the podium during the donor recognition segment. A ripple of turned heads, a specific quality of attention you recognize now the way you recognize your own reflection. Not hostile, not even uncomfortable exactly. Just fundamentally different from the air in a room where nobody knows the number. You've come to understand that these are simply two different categories of room, and you get to choose, sometimes, which one you walk into, but you don't get to have both experiences in the same room on the same night. The visibility, once triggered, changes the air permanently for as long as you're standing in it. The money can buy you into any room in the world. It cannot buy you the specific, ordinary comfort of a room that doesn't already know what you're worth before you've said a word. Item 5. The ability to fully trust a compliment. This one is smaller than the others, almost embarrassing to admit takes up any real estate in your head at all, but it does, quietly, more than you'd like. Someone tells you, at a business dinner, that your idea for a new venture is genuinely brilliant, the best thing they've heard all year, and you notice, almost immediately and almost against your will, a small internal audit running in the background. Is this person telling me this because it's true, or because agreeing with me carries a benefit they're hoping to collect on later? You didn't used to run this audit. At zero, at $10,000, a compliment was just a compliment, received and enjoyed and moved past without a second thought. You mentioned this, once, to the old friend from before any of this, the one who still tells you when your ideas are bad, and he laughs, not unkindly, and says something that stays with you for years. That's the tax, man. Every compliment you get now, you gotta pay a little interest on it, just to make sure it's real. Money buys you more compliments than you'll ever be able to spend. It also buys you a permanent, low hum of doubt about which ones you're actually allowed to believe, and that hum, once installed, never fully switches back off. Item 6. A second chance at the version of you before any of this. This is the one that surprises you most, the one you didn't expect to make the list at all until you found yourself, one ordinary Sunday, genuinely wishing for it. You're at your old apartment building, the one from your 20s, driving past it for no particular reason on your way to somewhere else, and you slow down without deciding to, looking at the specific window that used to be yours, third floor, second from the left, and you feel something you weren't prepared to feel, a real, physical longing not for the apartment itself, cramped and imperfect as it was, but for the specific person who lived there, a version of you who hadn't yet learned to run an audit on compliments, hadn't yet learned which rooms changed their air when he walked in, hadn't yet lost the particular, unrepeatable comfort of being chosen for nothing. You understand, sitting there in your car outside a building you could, if you wanted, simply buy outright, that there is no amount of money that reverses this specific kind of knowing. Once you've learned what wealth changes about how people treat you, you can't unlearn it, the way you can't unlearn how a magic trick works once someone's shown you the mechanism. The $40 million past the first 10 didn't just fail to buy this back. It's the exact reason it's gone. Money can buy you almost any version of the future you can imagine. It has never once been able to buy you back the specific, unguarded version of yourself that existed before the money taught you what it costs to have it. You're back in a waiting room, years after that first night with your father, a different hospital this time, a friend's surgery this time instead of family, and the vending machine hums the exact same hum, and you sit there with a coffee you're not drinking, running the whole list in your head without meaning to, the way you sometimes do in rooms like this. Your father's fine these days, older, slower, still at his kitchen table most Tuesday afternoons, and you understand, sitting in this second waiting room, that the list was never really about money's limits. It was about the specific, narrow category of things that were only ever going to be expensive in a currency money doesn't trade in at all: time, honesty, unearned belonging, an unchanged room, an unquestioned compliment, the version of yourself that existed before you knew any of this. $50 million, and the vending machine hums, and you wait, exactly the way anyone waits, for news that was never going to arrive any faster for you than it would for the man in the chair next to you, whoever he is, whatever he's worth, whatever he still, tonight, doesn't know. He's about to learn about the very specific, very expensive things his own money will never quite be able to reach.